Good morning. On this bowl of Question Crunch, Phylistine is here to talk about their various fandoms and artwork, answering questions about sculpting their favorite Utrom, their adventures at Wasteland Weekend, and how helpful a port-a-hooty can be. Because you have so many different outfits, you get to request what kind of outfit you want me to draw you in.
The warrior one, I already called it, that one.
The warrior one, the one from Wasteland?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing ever.
It's so badass.
During the pandemic, I really got into Xena, and I had the bra portion of it for the longest time, and I just could not figure out what cool thing to do with it. And then Xena happened, and I was just like, all right, this is it. I'm going to be a badass warrior.
I'm a big fan of Xena. It's been interesting to see what's his name? See Hercules get so dumb while Xena just keeps getting better and better.
I actually got to go to XenaCon last year, and I met Lucy and Renee O'Connor, and it was the coolest thing ever. And it's really interesting, like, meeting the fandom, because the fandom, everyone has been there, like, every con, like, since the 90s, and so they all knew each other, and they like welcomed me in open arms and everything. And then they were just like, wait a second, how tall are you? I'm like, 5'11". They're like, you're taller than Lucy? And I'm like, I guess so. And they're like, how does it feel? And I'm like, I don't know.
What else was at the XenaCon? Because I've never been to a XenaCon.
Yeah, so I don't know what just possessed me to just randomly look up. Well, I think it did. I do. Lucy Lawless, just like, I was like wondering, is she gonna be at a con anytime soon? Like, Comic-Con, anything. And then it just so happened that this was sometime in late October. It's like, oh, she's gonna be appearing at a con in November. I'm like, oh, that's pretty soon. And it's LA. And sure enough, it is a XenaCon, not like just any subcategory of con. It was XenaCon. And I was like, no freaking way. And this was literally a week after there was like a whole Labyrinth con that I went to, which was also really cool. I'll talk about that later. But I was just already just on this train of like, okay, we're just making all of our dreams come true this month. And so I went, and I had no idea what I was gonna wear. I had bought a cheap Xena like Party City type costume, and I was just like, no, I'm going to see Lucy there. I can't just wear this thing. So it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, what should I do? And this is after the Wasteland Warrior costume was already made and everything like that. But I didn't want to, be post-apocalyptic. I wanted to stay a little bit more true to the show. So I actually kind of dissected that warrior outfit a bit. So I still wore like the shoulder armor, brought a lot of like the weapons, and just kind of just snapped off a lot of the bottle caps that were on certain things, and found this really cute dress that I got years ago that I never wore. And it just turned out to be this really cool thing, and I became this interesting Marvel. I wasn't prepared when I went, and so it was actually a really crazy experience just going, and then people just asking me to take pictures of me, and I'm just like, wait a second, I haven't bought my ticket yet. I need to do that, so give me 1 second. But yeah, everyone was so welcoming and cool, and there was other people like, what character are you? And I was like, I'm just me. And they're just like, okay, because we were freaking out. We weren't sure. We're trying to figure out what episode you're from. And then it was really small. There was like this little pavilion that just showed clips of the show and behind the scenes and bloopers. There were a few vendors selling books and jewelry, and of course just memorabilia and things like that. Very tiny thing. It takes like 5 minutes to get around the whole con, honestly. And then just out of nowhere, I hear screams, and then out comes Lucy and Renee from the signing room, and Renee looks at me, and she just points at me, and she's like, nice. And I was like, oh my gosh, that just happened. And then it was just a bunch of panels, them asking them answering questions, me finally getting up to the front of the question line and just losing my mind and talking way too fast, and Lucy telling me like, slow down. I'm just like, I'm sorry, this is just a big deal, okay? This is Xena was just a great show that just I don't know, it just, I grew up tall. I grew up kind of strong, and I just grew up in just this position of vulnerability from being like, an oddball. And then it's just like this show just really empowered me a lot to just be like, you know what, this is our goal in life. It's just to be a badass warrior. So, and it was just a remarkable experience. And yeah, that's the whole XenoCon. I just gonna get more nerdy from there. I should, move on to the next thing.
Oh no, I'm always down to get more nerdy.
But yeah, it was a cool day. It was a great day, and I was just like, this really just happened. And we went to a penthouse party afterwards. A few of the writers and a few of the actresses and actors were there, not Lucy or Renee, which is cool. Also had a really cool moment with Hudson as well, the actress who played Callisto. She was signing, and I actually didn't realize it was her at first. But I passed by, and then she was just like, she just kind of like looked at me, and she's like, you look gorgeous. And I was just like, I'm thinking it's just another vendor. And so I was like, oh, I wonder what's going on over here. Because I'm kind of like seeing this happen through a little sea of people. And then I go up, and I was like, oh, shoot, it's you. Okay. Let me take my ass back to the back of the line. And she was just like, you look beautiful. And I was like, thanks. I'll talk to you later. So that was yeah, it was a great day. The penthouse party was great. They played a lot of good 90s music, some Spice Girls, and there were cakes that looked like the armor of Gabrielle and Xena, which is amazing. And also, apparently, the people who are running the penthouse party, they actually host a yearly retreat. It is called a Z-Night retreat, and it's like, I don't remember if it was a week or a weekend long, but it's basically just camping for Xena fans. And they kept asking me if I was going to go. Apparently it used to be in California. Now it's in like Pennsylvania. And I was like, okay, that's like 3 years from now, plan on going on that. But I definitely want to check it out. But it's literally like, you pay for your ticket. You've got lodging. You've got personal chefs. You've got horseback riding and archery and musical productions, and it's a Xena camp, and I'm actually really excited for the day that I actually do get to attend that.
If I were to draw you in your outfit, but I'll have to scroll through your social media to see where your war outfit is. But if I were to draw you in that outfit, is there a particular episode you want to be drawn in, or do you want to be drawn next to Callisto in battle and have her turn and be like, you're gorgeous?
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is overwhelming information that I just received. Okay.
I like celebrating another fellow Xena nerd.
Honestly, my favorite episode is the domestic episode, honestly, where it's just a day in the life of Xena and Gabrielle, where they're literally just being a married couple for the entire episode. It was just great to just see that insight. And then also, I'm very masochistic, so I always go back to the episodes that made me cry. So like one of those last episodes towards season 1 where, the Xena thought that Gabrielle died, and she's just all like, don't leave me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. Oh gosh, the one with Solon too. Actually all the Solon episodes. I know there's only like 2, but yeah.
When we first met, I was immediately introduced. I figured out, well, not figured out. You made it very clear real quick how nerdy you were, because we were at Neotropolis and someone had mentioned it was your birthday, so I was like, I'm gonna see if you want to draw in a free drawing of something. So I drunkenly came over and I was like, hey, I heard it's your birthday. Would you like a drawing of something? And I think you pointed out that you're a big fan of the Ninja Turtles, and I was going to recommend drawing the 80s cartoon, because those are the guys that I have memorized in my head. I know exactly how I draw those ones, because there's a cliche, just, the mouth. But then you're like, no. And the confidence of the no, the very absolute, be like, nope, don't want that. I was like, all right, fine. Well, let's see what we can do. And we got around to the first live action film. And I wanted to find like a good, because you mentioned how much you love Donatello. And so I wanted to find a specific Donatello scene that I could draw. And the first thing that came up to my mind is when April O'Neil is drawing all of the turtles, one of the drawings is Donatello in the truck, and they have that whole cool banter between Donatello and Casey Jones. So I was like, I'm going to draw that. That's an easy one I got memorized. I really want to know about all of your love of the Ninja Turtles. Like, where did that start? How hardcore is it? I have scrolled through your social media and I've seen how hardcore that love is.
Okay, so you've got about like what, a week to go through this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so oh gosh, so Ninja Turtles are just my jam. So I guess like it started. I guess like a lot of members of my family were just collectors of something, which is what I've noticed. Like hence me being a bit of a maximalist. But one that stood out in particular, my aunt, she collected a lot of different stuff. She had a whole room just dedicated to some of her collections. One of her big things that she collected was Barbies, and like things from like the 49ers and stuff like that. But in the doll Barbie room that she had, in the little corner, there was like a little collection of Ninja Turtle stuff. And I think I was probably like 3 or 4, who knows how old I was. I just remember, asking her about it, and she was like, "Oh, those are the Ninja Turtles. They really like pizza." And I was like, oh, I like pizza too. And so I just remember I kept going back into that room, while the adults were talking, to just like look at the stuff, and I wanted to play with the stuff. And my mom was like, we have the movie at home, right? And I was like, wait, what? And so we had the VHS tape, which I still have to this day. And she's just like, yeah, you want to watch it when we get home? I was like, yeah. And so I watched it, and I was just immersed in it. And then not too long after, the 2003 series comes out. This is definitely showing my age here. And I was just there every single Saturday. I was like, I remember making fanfics in my own brain about it, in my own mind, because I was too skeptical about actually writing it down. So it's just locked in there. But I know every scene, every story, every character still. But like, no, I wanted to be adopted into this family. I wanted to grow up to be a ninja. I wanted to like help my brothers on this fight. I loved this show. And then it was just like, my mom refused to get me any Ninja Turtles dolls, which eventually she learned that, okay, my kid is too far gone. I might as well just get this kid some Ninja Turtle stuff. But yeah, I was just there every Saturday morning, every movie that would come out. I was there for it, even the one that we don't like to talk about. Michael, that one. And I don't know, it's just like I would constantly find myself on YouTube watching those really crappy 2006 videos, and it just, I don't know, it just never stopped. And then more and more content just kept coming out, which I was just obsessed with constantly. Donatello was just always my absolute favorite, mostly because of that 2003 series. They just really showed just how crucial of a member he is. They actually had like a whole 3-episode arc about like him having like a second mutation and him losing his sense of self, and his brothers just not knowing what to do, because they're just all like, okay, when this kind of shit happens, we go to Donnie. Donnie's the one in trouble. What the fuck do we do? And like, just like the way that they portrayed his character as well, he was definitely the backbone of the group. He was also the voice of reason. He was the one who had no beef with anybody. He's like, I'm just with my gadgets. And I don't know, it's just like, he's just someone I aspire to be one day. I mean, he kicks ass, and he's a ninja, and he's he's an engineer. He's a robot engineer. He's a mechanical engineer. He's an auto mechanic. He's a chemist. He's just all around amazing. And then he does everything with a stick. And I'm just like, dude, how much cooler can you get? So, like, I don't know. It's just never faltered. And then recently, I just got back, like literally about a week ago, from New York, and had like a whole tour, a Ninja Turtles tour for myself. I was like, okay, we got a whole bucket list. We got to see a rat. we got to find some manholes. We gotta find 11th and Bleecker, which that was a big deal for me. Finding 11th and Bleecker, and then just seeing all of the billboards in New York for the Ninja Turtles movie, and then actually getting to go to the TMNT, the Mutant Mayhem experience that was happening there, which was also so fun. Just me being like just this kid in the candy store, just like pressing all the interactive things, and I'm just like, oh, look at my boys. And then actually getting to see the movie in New York, and this is my first time ever in New York, so it was just a big deal for me. I was like, my boys live here. This is where they're from. This is where it all happened. So, yes, I'm a huge lover of Ninja Turtles. I don't think it'll ever stop. I've definitely contemplated naming a future child of mine Donatello. Just contemplation. We're not so sure if it's going to happen. My favorite stuffed animal that I have on my bed is a one-eyed alligator named Leatherhead. Like, I go hard. So, yeah. And Neotropolis, that birthday party was Ninja Turtles themed. My mom made me a pizza cake. All of my gifts were Ninja Turtle themed, which I didn't ask for. It just happened that way because people I guess I'm just well known as a Ninja Turtles fan, and I appreciate it and I loved it. And also, if my friends are listening, thank you so much for thinking about me in this way. This is wonderful. This is beautiful. I feel so very loved, and it was a wonderful birthday party. And what better way to do it than on a desert planet, you know?
So you said that you have the VHS of the first film, right?
Yes, and Secret of the Ooze. And I don't think I actually ended up with the third one, but I also have them all on DVD as well.
I always loved that first one on VHS because you had that commercial, the Pizza Hut commercial, the kids playing baseball.
I know that commercial from heart. Like,
Me
by
too.
heart. Like,
Me too.
In the distance, the game's dragging on. Oh, sorry. Let me not.
No, go for it, because I think about that commercial a lot, and I share it on social media every now and then.
Oh,
So
do you?
like, I look up to the sky, what could it be? And I do that whenever I hear anyone say it's right field. I'm like, out where the dandelions grow.
Making it great. Yes.
I absolutely love that commercial, and I remember in high school, in our English books, that poem was in the English books, and I was like, "This is real? This wasn't just made for Pizza Hut?"
Amazing. But yeah, that's when my mom knew that I was too far gone. When just one day, I was probably like 16 at this point, so it's been years at this point now, like a nice a gap, and I'm just like watching it, and she just walks in on me like while I am literally just singing along to the Pizza Hut commercial in the beginning of the movie, not quoting the movie, but the commercial. And then she's just like, okay, my kid is weird.
I find a lot of the quotes from Ninja Turtles invading my everyday life, and a lot of them aren't really like. There's the easy ones where it's like, "Wise man say never pay full price for late pizza." But
literally wearing that shirt during my Ninja Turtles like New York tour the whole day. It literally it had that quote on it.
But a lot of times I'll even go to Secret of the Ooze, and I'll just be like, yeah.
It is, honestly, it's a bit, like the first 15 minutes of the movie, it's just best scene.
Seriously, I still think about that scene because you'll see the guys running down the stairs, and they jump up and they have the title card. One of my favorite movie intros, period.
Amazing.
And I feel like just saying yeah like that, no one else is gonna really know what the hell you're talking about.
It's okay, I got you.
Excellent.
I got you.
What is your favorite Ninja Turtles scene?
Okay.
And not including Mutant Mayhem, because I haven't seen that yet.
Okay. Oh man, because I can tell you, because that was really good. Okay.
The moment I saw it, because I heard about it being animated. Well, no. First of all, I saw the list of the cast, and I'm like, oh, I hope it's animated. And then I saw the teaser come out, and I'm like, oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really have too much of an opinion on it because, we've been heartbroken by Ninja Turtle movies before. So it's just like, this is exciting. It's animated. It's got that similar style to the Mitchells versus the Machines because I think it's by the same director. And I was just like, oh, this looks really cute. And then I saw the cast, and I was just like, no way. Jackie Chan, Ice Cube, let's go. And then I was like, I'm a little bit more excited for it. But then, the first trailer came out, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And, I still expected it to just be, decent at best. And then, just enjoyable and fun. And after watching it, it's definitely on my top 3 now. So this is high praises. This is really good, and I can't wait to watch it again. I actually have friends who are just like, okay, I need to watch it with you specifically. So are you good at watching it again? I'm like, no, yeah, I will. But favorite Ninja Turtle scene. Okay, so now we gotta be more specific here. Are we talking about the show, like all of like the media, or are we just talking about just like films?
Totally up to you.
Ah, that makes it hard.
Okay. Fine. We can go with the films. We can go with the films.
Okay,
You don't
films.
have to. Or you
All
can
right.
list a bunch. You can list a bunch of scenes that you really just love.
Okay, well, the whole wise men say forgiveness is divine. That's just the classic one. I love that one a lot. Hence me having a shirt of it. But I also have a shirt of the whole tortoise and the hare scene where it's like, ninja kick the damn rabbit. I'm like, that's one of the things that I like to yell at during like sports and stuff. I'm trying to think though, because there's so many good ones, so many just quotable scenes. Brain, work with me.
Another scene that I always quote really stupidly is from, again, Secret of the Ooze, the whole baby.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay.
They're babies.
Yes. I do love how goofy they made the Shredder in that film. Oh my god. Just an absolute drama queen. It was amazing. Just like, they're baby. Oh gosh.
I'm realizing how many quotes from that stupid movie that I always do. The whole again, back to Shredder, it's like I challenge. I'm like, his face.
Oh man. Okay. Trying to think. I can do this.
And I
can do
gotta
this.
tell you, when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I did not know who Jose Canseco was.
I had to Google that eventually at some point.
I didn't know who it was, and so when Raphael is mocking Casey Jones and he's like, a Jose Canseco bat, tell me, you didn't buy this, right? I kept saying Jose Canseco as if it's a type of bat. I didn't know it was a person.
Yeah. Which actually segues into one of my favorite bits is from that scene where he's like, okay, new game roundhead, cricket. He's like, cricket. Nobody understands cricket. You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. That just has me dying every single time. Every single time.
Do you ever find yourself, because I find myself saying that whenever anyone brings up cricket, whenever someone brings up the sport.
Yes, I do, and no one knows what I'm talking about, and it's the most just aggravating thing. It just hurts my heart so much.
It's just a really weird thing to say to someone when they're like, they're just talking about, oh yeah, and there's a cricket bat. I'm like, cricket? Nobody knows cricket.
Yeah, that whole scene, just iconic for me. Honestly, this one is actually kind of silly, but I actually have like a TikTok video of me like quoting it. There was like this whole challenge where it's like, okay, yeah, quote a movie, like what the sound off, like, you know, just to see how much well you know it. And it's the whole argument that Leo and Raph has at April's apartment right before the whole pork rind scene. So it's just like how dramatic it was with like Raph going like, oh, so that's the plan from our great leader, huh? Just sit here on our butts. And I'm just like, my God. And it's just like, just the whole exchange just cracks me up every time because they're just like, they're just so angsty, like for valid reasons, but it's just, they're so angsty.
I was just realizing though, you know what? I gotta watch these movies again because in my head I'm like, he's right. He's right.
Hence, you know, Donnie and Mikey just like, you know, let's just go eat pork rinds. You know, just let it play out.
Actually, in the comics, because I really love the Ninja Turtles comics. I actually like the fact that the Turtles franchise goes everywhere because it feels like it breaks boundaries in every I don't have they gone into Marvel because I know they went to DC because the Turtles have Batman. IDW Turtles have gone throughout the IDW world. They went to the Ghostbusters world, and that's where Donatello introduced Egon to teleportation. Like it helped build a whole portal that Ghostbusters can travel through, and then that opened up worlds for the Ghostbusters. And I love that. I love it. Oh, and they recently had the toys of the Turtles being like classic Universal monsters, which I think is, I think that they were looking at my Christmas list because I was like, this is so weird. Two of my favorite things, horror movies and the Turtles. Awesome.
But get this, like Hot Topic slash Box Lunch, the store, they recently launched a line where there is a crossover with Naruto and Ninja Turtles. So it's the Ninja Turtles just as Naruto characters. It's like an actual line. You can get it on a shirt, a backpack, a blanket. It's wild. I'm not a big Naruto fan, but it just like blew my mind to see.
I just like turtles in every franchise.
Yeah, I personally try to stay away from the comics because I'm just like, okay, this will just financially just destroy me. And then too, with the ADHD, I will never stop reading. So I'm just like, okay, like I'm waiting for that moment where I do have the type of free time where I can just sit and read Ninja Turtle comics all day. But I do try my best to catch up on Wiki as much as I can. But yes, I know that Power Rangers were a big thing. Power Rangers with the Ninja Turtles. I remember there being actually quite a few different adaptions for that. And then, yeah, the Batman versus Ninja Turtle ones. I enjoyed that thoroughly. That one was really cute. I have it somewhere on DVD. it was an adorable one. And then, no, I don't think I have seen any interaction with Marvel just yet. I'm kind of waiting on that. I think that'll be really fun. I would love to see Ninja Turtles and Spider-Man hanging out.
So I was scrolling through your social media and talking about your Turtles fandom. About the sculpture, and okay, I did not know about this character. I watched this cartoon, but I didn't remember a lot of the characters from the cartoon. But when I saw it show up and I saw the hashtag of Terrell, I was like, I need to know more about this character. So I watched a bunch of YouTube videos of his whole history.
Oh, that makes me excited.
So what made you sculpt that?
So, Neotropolis was announced, and I immediately said, okay, this is my chance to finally incorporate Ninja Turtles into something, and nobody can stop me. Because, with the Wasteland Weekend, which is, the sister event, post-apocalyptic, it's pretty set in its ways as far as theming goes. But this is sci-fi. We're on another planet. And I was like, for me personally, it doesn't get much more sci-fi than Ninja Turtles. And so, but also I know how the events can, get with like, oh, we don't want anything that's too obvious. We don't want any Darth Vaders walking around or your Baby Yodas and shit. And I'm just like, okay. That's fine. So I decided to just dive into more obscure references that only the, very keen eye would get. And honestly, I really love the idea of because I was just getting into, like making monsters and sculpting and things like that. And I thought it would be really cool to actually just have an assortment of Utroms. So from different eras and generations of Ninja Turtles. So maybe Krang, and like a hard maybe on Krang because he's just, he's iconic. And then the Utroms from the 2012 version. And then I was just like, it's got to be an Utrom from the 2003 version because that's my favorite. And to this day, I have that show on repeat, especially when I'm making a sculpt or a costume or something like that. If it's not Avatar: The Last Airbender, that show is on in the background usually. And it also helps me get really hyped for the event as well. And I just always loved his weird little design, honestly. And yeah, it just started happening. And I wanted to get him in a little cryo tank because there's just been many times and points in the show where he was in one. And I've had many prototypes of that. It's been destroyed, but he still stands. But yes, I thought it would just be really cool to have Shrell. And I was like, this is my own piece of home and Ninja Turtles, and nobody is going to clock me for it because how many people watch the 2003 series as much as I have and would have been like, that's Shrell, It's like not a single person was able to come up to tell me who that was, which I'm just like, ha ha, I did my job, so.
I would recognize it now.
Yeah, well, now.
Because now I'm up to date on the whole purple scar. If I see an Utrom with a purple scar, I'm gonna know who it is.
Yeah.
For listeners who don't know what we're talking about. Utrom is, if you know the Turtles, you know Krang. Krang is a little brain alien thing that's in the big giant robot. That's a whole race of aliens called the Utrom. And Shrell is in a 2003. Was Shrell introduced in 2003 series?
I know he was definitely in the comic books at some point.
Yeah.
But yes, visually, that was the only portrayal that he's had in media. And so, yeah, they so of course, like, the Shredder has had so many different renditions of like who he is. Oh, that's Splinter's brother. Oh, that's um Homato, Yoshi's brother, like things like that. But this one, they pretty much made him, honestly, gosh, I can talk about this version of the Shredder for hours. I honestly think he was just such an impressive and absolutely terrifying villain. But basically, he is the Shredder. He is an Utrom who is a criminal, like, just he's a war criminal. He destroys worlds. He's just, making shit hard for the Utroms constantly. And then they landed on Earth, and Earth was too primitive for them to figure out how to get back home. And so both the Utroms and the Shredder are basically just having this giant space contest to see who's going to get back home. The Utroms are just like, yeah, we're homesick. And Shrell, he's just all like, nah, I'm just like, I want to keep kicking ass. And so he spends decades, generations, like years, just creating an entire army for himself, creating social status, political power, all this cool stuff, just so that he can just go back to just terrorizing the universe again. And it's just like, he was just really cool. Really great. He took inspiration from the original Shredder, which was, the original Orokusaki in the show, who at some point turned out to be some mystic demon thing. But anyways, but he just thought, you know what, this is a great way to, assert my dominance within this human world. And he just went with it, and he's just been around for generations since. And so, and this is all this was. And I don't know, he was just cool. He was just such a cool dude. And then when they first had like that reveal, like, oh yeah, he's a Utrom, I thought it was like just the craziest thing. And it was just such a moment that I felt like I was the only one excited for when the show first came out. but yeah, I don't know. I thought he's just one of my favorite villains of all time. That rendition of Shredder was just fantastic. He had the entire city eating out of the palm of his hands. He literally had not only the local gangs on his side and the mob on his side and the Foot on his side, he also had the police on his side. He had political power. He had ties with the mayor. He had ties with just about everything. And so there was so much stacked against the Turtles, who were just like, freaks in the sewers. And so it's just like, he was genuinely terrifying. And so he was just cool. And I just had to make a nod to him.
And I went from not being familiar with this character to watching, like I said, a bunch of I was working on something, and I was like, you know what, I can learn about this character in the background. And I found a YouTube video that was a collection of all of his story, and I'm like, all right, this is what I'm learning now.
And I appreciate it. Bless you.
This sculpture is amazing. I absolutely love it, and I love all of the sculptures that you've done. And this covers all of the artwork that you work on that I've seen. And I keep seeing like you going through so much different disciplines, different art forms. It's absolutely amazing, from costuming to drag to sculpture to painting to it's your list of everything that you create is ridiculous. Now, I don't want to say ridiculous because that has negative. It's phenomenal. It was amazing looking through all your work. What is your favorite art form to work in?
That's hard. I know that cool. It's all I know that it's all the ADHD and just me not being able to just stick to one thing at a time. So I just generally just kind of keep collecting things that allows me to do a multitude of things. So things like, going to festivals and events like the Renaissance Fair or Wasteland or Neotropolis, or like even the Labyrinth Ball and stuff like that. It just gives me the opportunity to work in every medium. Usually I'm performing there at these events. So it's just like a situation of like, okay, I have to come up with a costume. I have to come up with a dance performance to go along with it. Wherever I might need to make a prop to go along with it. And because Neotropolis and Wasteland are so immersive, it's like, okay, I also have to make a living space based on that. And it's just like, it allows me to just jump into all of those things. I'm never focused on like one thing for long, because after a costume's finished, it's like, okay, let's make a prop. And so it's just, I don't know, I love the opportunity just to be able to do all the things all the time, and it's just fun. And then that realization, like I can do something better than I've done before, or something that's improved, or something that I would probably cry in a corner about because it's just not going the way I needed to like 5 years ago, and now I can do it in like a matter of like an hour. It's just mind-boggling. And so it's just, I just like making things and making things happen. And I don't know, I grew up in a household where it was just like, there was a lot of emphasis on like, one day you're going to have to grow up and you're going to have to leave a lot of these things behind. And it's just been, I've kind of just been on this train of like, haha, watch me. like, and so it just keeps on going from there. And I just like feel like the inner child just never leaves me. And there's always something new to explore, whether that just be from painting or costuming or prop making or performing or even just cooking. I just enjoy doing stuff and making things a reality, seeing things and just thinking, that's not possible, and then just making it happen.
I always tell people that you're only going to get better in artwork if you want to learn more, if you want to actually get better, if you want to try to, because like the whole line practice makes perfect, which is cool. But yes, the more you do a thing, the more you'll learn tips and tricks and how to make yourself more faster, more efficient, and trying new things will introduce you to techniques that you never would have considered prior to that. And that's what I love artwork. I love experimenting, and I love it even if it doesn't go the way you said, like crying in the corner. The corner cries happen. It's gonna happen. But a lot of times there is still stuff you can learn from the mistakes that are inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely learned a lot, especially from just the 2 years of going to Neotropolis. The first year, of course, was just, everyone getting their sea legs. And so there was like a lot of ambitious projects that I had that I wanted to achieve that just didn't make it that year. And so like, it's just amazing to see just the evolution that 1 year made and how many things I was able to create and how many of them worked and did not fly away because of the sandstorms and and we're actually withstanding time and being handled and not falling apart and also just looking so much cooler than the first prototypes. And so it's just amazing. And it's just like I always want to keep going. I never want to stop.
This was my first Neotropolis, and so I underestimated the work that goes into creating a costume for this event. And people can recognize me at night because I drew myself in the comic in my red jacket, but during the day I just looked like some regular dad that was on vacation. And I'm like, no, I gotta fix that shit. I'm going to make it next year. And I'm glad that I did this year because it did give me, because like I can look at photos of different cyberpunk universes, but being in person gave me so much more that I can work with, much more of a learning experience than if I were just on Google and looking at images.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I definitely agree. But also, don't feel too bad. We all were walking around like dads because it was just too hot. None of us were used to that. This was all new for all of us. But yeah, definitely. I always so a lot of people will approach me telling me like their interest in events like this because I'm so involved in it. Like Wasteland, I've been a part of for about 8 years now, and so there's a lot of people who are just like, oh my gosh, it seems so cool. It looks so cool. I would love to do something like this. I don't think I could. There's so much work that would be put into it. And I'm just like, you're not going to really feel like, you're never going to feel ready. You're never going to feel completely prepared. I always feel underprepared every single year. I'm underprepared now. I probably should be working on something, but I'm not. But it's like my first year, I was invited as a part of a cabaret, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I had recently just heard about the event like a week prior to the invitation being extended. And I only had one outfit the entire time. It was just like a tan button up and some pants, and I had my hair in a frohawk, and I wore some of my old softball gloves like that. It was simple, but it was just like the experience itself, like it made it, it kind of kicks you into gear because you're actually living it and you're experiencing it. You're realizing, all the work that everyone else is putting into, it's not required to, be there and have a good time and immerse yourself into it. All you need is to have just a decent base outfit, and then just throw yourself in there. And once you're in there, I mean, it's kind of hard to get out. But it's just like you figure things out from there. You meet people, you see different techniques and things like that. You see, like, I just remember, like, the whole inspiration for the bottle cap, the whole bottle cap motif that I have going on in my outfit was that a lot of people were saying, oh, well, you shouldn't wear too many colors. But also I was like, I'm queer, I need some color. And I was just like, at the time when I did drag, I put rhinestones on everything. And so it's just like a whole situation where I saw somebody who would collect bottle caps and they put it on some of their armor. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, there's like, post-apocalyptic rhinestones. And so it's just like, that's how I was able to incorporate as much color as I wanted without anyone batting an eye, because it was a bunch of bottle caps. And it evolved from there. Like, the jacket that people know me best for, like, it started off as me randomly buying a jacket at Goodwill the night of the Wastelanders ball, and then just sewing a few bottle caps on it. And then it took 5 years for it to get to where it is today with the hundreds of patches that is on it. And it just takes time, and it's going to build. And that happened for just about everyone else that I know. It's like, it just took time and practice and lots of crying and lots of swearing and lots of glue. And it's just like, once you get over those hurdles, you're going to get to a point where you're pretty comfortable and happy with. So, and I feel like that just goes with literally everything you do, every skill that you have. We all had to learn how to walk at some point. We all had to learn to talk at some point. And it's not limited to literally anything else. Everything is just practice and trial and error, and tears and crying and swears.
I'm gonna keep considering it the corner crying. I'm gonna think about that. That's gonna be my new phrase whenever I get to that's frustrating any kind of art piece, because I feel like a lot of people think that's just gonna be really easy. Not I don't want to say people assume that's easy, but people don't know that all professionals do get frustrated and they have to cry in the corner for a bit, because that's just humanity. Sometimes you have an idea and it's not working out so well, so you have to walk away, cry in the corner for a bit, come back and see if you can salvage the idea. And a lot of times you can. You just have to take a break.
Definitely agreed.
One of my favorite videos that you posted on your Instagram is, because I'm a big fan of Owl House, and so rolling through, and I saw your video of Hooty becoming the port-a-hooty, and you're like, I can make that. I got so excited.
Gosh, I wish I had the discipline to make more videos. I actually have a lot of content. I just need to actually put it in a video and post them, which is, a skill that I gotta learn. But yeah, Owl House is one of those shows that just emerged in 2020 that I recommend to everyone, and I've probably seen like 7 times through now, because I keep introducing it to people and watching it with them. And it's just, it's so good. It's so cute. It's just a breath of fresh air as far as animation goes. And I'm like, well, and it's just like, this is, probably obvious to me, but it's very queer. It's very gay. I love it. And it's just, it's precious. It's wonderful. So, I was told that there was going to be an Owl House like pop-up experience where they were going to have like a panel and things like that. Unfortunately, I did not make it, because after Wasteland, I was very, very sick. Not COVID, but very sick. But it was really interesting that I got that done in 3 days. And it was in between literal fever dreams. So I would like just be in my room, I would work on it, and then I would fall asleep and then wake up and then work on it again. And even though I didn't get a chance to actually go to this experience, it was really fun. It was really nice. And it really just like it was honestly one of those turning points where I was like, man, I can do anything. This is pretty cool.
I'm going to agree with that. Because one of my favorite things, I love people who do sculpture, who do things that make it an actual thing that exists in real life. And seeing you make the port-a-hooty was amazing. I love, even the detail that you put on Hooty's feathers was just, it was beautiful. I loved it. And
So actually, I had sculpted Hootie's face a while back because I actually wanted to put it like on my bedroom door. And so I actually have a mold of it. And it was just one of those projects I never got to really finish because, there's just so many other projects I had to prioritize. So I just had just the face just kind of sitting in the workshop, not doing anything. And then I was just like, well, slap it on the thing. So, and it turned out wonderful. I'm proud of it.
and on all of the fandoms that you're a part of, I always love it when I find out that someone else is a big fan of the Dark Crystal. And so when I saw you go to the conjunction, which I've never been, I did not know it existed. It looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
How was that event?
So it was very, 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 very poorly advertised. Nobody knew about it.
Cool.
It was literally me finding out about it. It was literally a friend posting on social media. Hi, Kat. So social media is like, oh, who's going to the Dark Crystal convention? And I was just all like, excuse me, the what? And this is literally the day before I went, I think, either the day or 2 days before. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to this thing. So it was just, nobody knew about it. So because nobody knew about it, there wasn't really a big turnout, unfortunately. But it was honestly way in my benefit because I got to talk to people for a long time. So talking to Kevin Clash, the voice of Splinter from the Ninja Turtles film, as well as Elmo and the baby from Dinosaurs and all these other, and Agra, was just amazing. And it was just like, I had made a post on Instagram about this too, like that whole meme of SpongeBob going like, hi, Kevin. Because it was like, that's how I felt. Because my friend was like, oh, I didn't know the guy who voiced Agra also voiced Elmo. And I was like, Kevin Clash is here? And I lost my mind. And it was just really great. And just him just saying, no, it's not really about how detailed the characters are, how they're it's really all about the performance that you give them. Like Elmo is literally just a flat puppet with 2 ping pong eyeballs, but he's one of the most iconic characters it is. And it's because of just the life that was put into it. And, talking to so many of the puppeteers who just also was just so excited to just lend so much knowledge and insight on just the skill and the profession, and just having that excitement that man, people are still very much into this whole puppet thing. It was just such a great experience. It was lovely. It was nice seeing so many of the cast and molds from the series, and I'm just like, this is what I want to do one day. It was really cool. I also got a chance to meet a friend. She was one of the puppeteers on the show who actually went to Neotropolis, so that was really cool. That we got to connect from there, and then jumping into from pretty much going from her neck of the woods into my neck of the woods, and just kind of converging was just really cool.
That's pretty rad. I'm pretty. It's funny because I don't often get FOMO. But I'm kind of jealous that you got this chance to talk to him about his career.
Yeah, it was wild, and I don't know if they're gonna have another one because, like I said, not a great turnout. So it was just one of those opportunities that I'm very grateful for. And pretty much all of the staff were from UK, and so apparently this year they're having a labyrinth, experience, but it's going to be in UK, pretty much on location from the films and things like that. So they were like, you should come, and I was just like, haha, money. But I'm rooting for them, back here in the sidelines, because that just seems like such a cool thing.
If Jen and Kira from the Dark Crystal had a port-a-hooty, would that have helped them healing the crystal, or would it hinder them? Would it make things worse?
So that is such a wild card. To just throw Hootie into that mess. Okay, so I just feel I don't know. So thinking about Hootie is honestly an asset to the whole general crew in the Owl House, but also just such a liability.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's always weird when Hootie does come in, he does help out, but that's not often the case.
Yeah, and it's just I feel he's very easily distracted. You know what? I feel during the journey itself, would be a stressful experience of, just the journey just being way longer than it needs to be because he is just, he's distracted and he's just doing things that just, sabotages the whole mission, and he's just eating things he probably shouldn't be eating. But then I feel like, when it comes down to business, like once they actually reach their destination, that he will come through. It's just really funny. I just have this visual of Hooty just eating the dark crystal.
Yeah.
Just at some point. And I honestly don't know if that would be him saving the day or just destroying it even further.
I think there would be a moment of like the crystal shard falling and Hooty reaching out, grabbing it, and you're like, "Thanks, Hooty," and Hooty swallows it and like, "What?"
But then when he realizes it's like, oh, you guys really needed that thing, he'll just like, throw it back up, and he's just like, there you go, guys. Hoot hoot. And I'm like, I just feel like he'll just be this unnecessary stressor that will just also be great for the whole thing. He'll make it definitely longer than it needs to be, but he'll also help and get the job done. So, I love Hooty. He's great.
If listeners are listening, if their listeners are listening to this, if you haven't seen Owl House, I highly recommend it. It is a beautiful show. I loved every minute of it, and the ending is, I think I teared up. I think I got a little choked up on the ending.
I cried like 3 times. I kept crying. Oh gosh, honestly, that whole last season, if you call it that, those 3 specials, I cried with everyone. I was just bawling my eyes out. I love I don't even want to say anything. If you're listening, like, I don't want to spoil it, but gosh, I love these kids.
I'm just always a big fan of the concept, the idea that an immortal being who doesn't know about mortality and doesn't know right from wrong, is not taught right or wrong, has a hard time understanding what it is. And I always dig that idea. And having a character not wanting to defeat the villain. Well, no, I don't want to spoil too much.
Don't stop. Just watch the show.
Just watch the show. You
can watch it along with me. I'm like watching it again right now with my friend Brett. We're on for episode 2 very soon. But yes, just watch the show. And it's just amazing. And it's a breath of fresh air. If you are very much, or if you were a former Harry Potter fan but decided to rebuke your faith because of J.K. Rowling's shenanigans, then watch this show. It will restore your love for like the wizardry and witch world and, just cute interactions. It's just goodness. So just watch the show. That's it. TED Talk over.
What has been one of your favorite experiences? I mean, you already mentioned the talking to a puppeteer, which I feel bad because if I met a puppeteer that worked on a lot of the stuff I would work on that I love, I would have a difficult time not asking them a million questions about their career. But what has been some of your favorite experiences from Neo and Wasteland?
Okay.
Or Wasteland?
Ooh, okay. So, yeah, Wasteland has been like 8 years long. So that's a long history there. And then Neo, it's only been 2 years. But, it's all the same people, just different outfits. Just different theme. Let's see. I feel like Neotropolis just gives me more of my, okay, I'd say they both unlock just different parts of me. I feel like Wasteland definitely unlocks the, the tall, buff, badass Xena warrior queen that I am. And then Neotropolis just unlocks the more silly childhood wonder side of me, I feel. And so they both have just different places in my hearts for different reasons. And also the fact that Neotropolis like surrounds my birthday just amplifies it all the more. I think at Neotropolis last year, it was a very, that Friday was my birthday. And I tell this story often because I want the person involved in the story to feel guilty every single time. He does. But it was my birthday. Picture this. It's during the day. We're walking around. Lots of people are saying happy birthday, Phil, and I'm like, oh, thanks, guys. And then I decide to go into the city just to look around, do a little bit of shopping. I come back to my faction, that is our camp or whatever set up for people who do not know. And a friend of mine's, his name is Anders. Yeah, I'm calling him out. He comes over and he, wishes me a happy birthday, and it was just so sweet. And he gave me this. He gave me a comic book, which was really cool. It was just such a cute moment. And he gives me a hug, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so sweet. And so there's this thing called missions at Neotropolis, and I was actually on the most wanted list for a bounty because no one had gotten me the past 2 days or so. And so there's this chip thing that you wear around you somewhere visually. I had it on my arm, and basically the whole goal is to take out the chip and then pretty much turn that person into jail. This man hugs me and then very sneakily takes my key card and he turns me into jail. And it was just top 10 anime betrayals. It was very disheartening. And
on your birthday.
On my birthday, yes. Right after giving me a gift, the hug of gratitude from that gift is when he betrays me. And so it was disheartening. I see my picture, my wanted sign get taken down and everything like that because I have been turned in. And I let everyone know about this horrible betrayal. At the bar that he was bartending at, they actually had on the bar, you can write things and graffiti up the bar. Just the day prior, I wrote on there, I love Anders. And then right under it, I wrote fuck Anders. And everybody was like, man, why is this chick so mad at Anders? And I tell them the story right there in that bar. And this actually turns into a kind of cute happy ending in the sense where he was just like, I'm so sorry. I went into the city. I originally went back to your camp. You weren't there. So I went into the city and then I saw there was a bounty on you. And I was like, well, I'm going to see this person anyway. And I just took the opportunity. I'm so sorry. This wasn't my intention all along. But if your heart is still broken, here's another one. And it gives me this heart necklace. And I'm just like, okay, well, all right. You're not too bad. It was really cute. It's actually very sweet. But I still tell people about that to this day. And the day actually gets more exciting. So later on, I get asked to film a mission. And it's Pilot's Perch, which is a really fun mission. You basically get this giant glowing power cell, and you have to get it to a power cell station in another area of the event. And so they were recording it. I didn't know how the recording was gonna be. Is it me just just leisurely walking and things like that? Is it me actually doing the mission and things like that? And so it's just me kind of just getting into the zone of character, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this mission. And apparently they told me I have to try to stay hidden from the Sentinels, which are essentially Neotropolis stormtroopers, cops, soldiers, whatever. And so I do this mission, and Sentinels are like, hey, you. And I panic, and I start booking it. And so I'm running all throughout the Mega Block, which is our little inner city, getting chased down by 7 Sentinels, while the camera guys are running behind me. And mind you, I'm also in these shoes that are essentially heels as well. And I am running at full speed away from these guys. And I'm I run into a friend's bar and they corner me, they surround me. They're like, we want to see your identification. And I was just really into this scene. And they were just saying where'd you get that product and things like that. And then I was just yeah, a friend gave it to me. And they're like, which friend? And I was just like, well, I got friends everywhere around here. See that friend over there? That's Jim. And then it was just this whole distraction in which I and I was like, oh, and there's my friend over there. And I just start running past them. And I don't know, this is like the most like immersive thing I've ever felt in my life. I felt like I was in a film at this moment. And then I start booking it. Next thing you know, I hear this whisper and it's like, psst, hey. And then there's this guy who's like, go to Murder Alley. And so I go to Murder Alley because I knew exactly where that was. And I find the second power cell and, well, the power cell station. And I put the power cell there. And I was able to evade the Sentinels, and I was able to actually complete the mission, and it was just so adrenaline pumping and crazy and wild. And yeah, it was quite the birthday to have. So that's day I turned 26.
That sounds absolutely exciting, despite the horrible betrayal earlier that day.
He has atoned for it, but it's still a great story, so I'm gonna keep telling.
During your big sci-fi epic, what's the song that plays during your big fight scene?
Oh gosh. Okay. I'd like to think it was something properly ratchet. Like maybe something by Meg Thee Stallion or Missy Elliott.
Good call. Very good call.
Yeah. Trying to think which one would probably be like the best one. I would maybe Missy Elliott. We'll probably go for her. Yeah, she's honestly one of my biggest inspirations as well as far as costuming things go. We'll go for Missy Elliott, and we'll probably say We Run This. Why not?
Nice. Well,
We Run This by Missy Elliott. Let's go. I think that would be really fun, especially with some of the transitions in the song. That would be great for all those corners I was turning when I was booking it. So, boom.
Good call is using Missy Elliott for inspirations as far as costuming, because that is someone who does costume choices that are not what you would expect.
She was one of my earliest just exposures as far as just Black women being weird. And I just remember always being very immersed in how just weird and unorthodox her music videos were and costuming and things like that. And it was just one of those things where it's just like in a world where especially Black femmes in particularly are always kind of expected to be molded into a particular box. She was just one of those ones where I was like, oh shit, I can be weird too. And have melanin. This is cool. And so I think it really just started from her, honestly. So thanks, Missy.
I appreciate anyone who is an inspiration to let people know that they can be weird. I will always greatly appreciate that. I feel like too many times society as a whole tells you, oh, you have to be this certain way, you have to be calm, you have to be quiet, you have to be mighty, you have to be brave, and it's like, or you can do some silly shit. You can make a port-a-hooty just for the fun of it.
Exactly. And so I think that's just where, like, outside of just being a warrior and Donatello's a princess, my goal in life is to just have fun and just be a professional weirdo.
What words of wisdom would you give to someone who is aspiring, who doesn't know, is a little reluctant, or is they want to be weird, but they don't know if they should actually go for it?
So definitely for starters is that nobody knows what's going on in your brain. You can say 1,000,001 horrible things about yourself. No one is seeing that. No one is hearing that but you. And it's really just important to know, because of that, you have so much more power than you realize as far as where life takes you. And honestly, one of the biggest things, this is probably one of those cliches, is really also about who you surround yourself with. A lot of the things that I do in my day-to-day life would not really go so well with, either certain members of my family or just like, coworkers or things like that. But the fact that at the end of the day, there is so many people out there who are rooting for me, who understand, where I'm coming from with just all the things I do, from art to being nerdy to being queer and things like that. It just makes a world of the difference that you honestly forget that you were ever weird. It just becomes the normal. It becomes the social norm for yourself. And every single time that you feel like you just don't have what it takes to do a thing, just do it. Because every single talented person I have met have all told me they have no idea what they're doing. Every single one. And I didn't think that was true until I became that person who was being asked questions and asked, how do you do it? And I'm the one telling them, you know what? I have no idea what I'm doing. And so it's all about just the experience itself, taking on those opportunities. I spent a large portion of my life just not doing things because of insecurities or feeling like I wasn't there yet. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't prepared enough. And it just made me miss out on so many amazing connections and opportunities. And I promised myself I was never going to put myself in that position again. And every bad experience that I had, it was just a situation of just understanding for myself. We just know we're not going to do that again. But it's not going to stop us from just, continuing and moving forward. So yeah, just do the thing. Everyone you think is cool is not as cool as you think. They're also nerds, and they also don't know what they're doing. They will all tell you the same thing. And if you really, 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 really want to know how people do it, the answer is always practice. Always. And you will never stop practicing. Never, ever. And it's going to give you kind of an existential crisis for a bit, but then you kind of learn to push it down. Yeah. That's my advice for the world. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk once again.